doing? Yeah? Oh, you know, we were a little worried that no one would show up after lunch, so thank you all for being here. All right, my name is John Flanagan. This is Building a Short-Term Rental Data-Based Marketing Strategy to Drive Economic Impact. Welcome to our session. I am the Managing Director of Amplify by StaySense. If you've never heard of us, we are a booking engine that specializes in short-term rentals that is fully embeddable on your DMO website. I am not the star of the show today. We've got three esteemed panelists with us. I will give a warm welcome real quick to Chad Netherland, the CEO of the Gatlinburg CVB.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Crystal Hines, the most glaring omission from the Rising Stars panel, I think, as the VP of Marketing for Alabama's Beaches.
Wow, thanks, Sean.
And David Krause, who's the CEO and co-founder of Rent Responsibly. Thanks for being here, guys. All right, so I'm going to get started. I'm going to use a cheat sheet because my memory is not that good anymore. I want you guys to have some actionable takeaways today. I want you to have some marketing strategies that work for short-term rentals. I want to spill the tea a little bit on what the short-term rental professional landscape actually looks like, maybe demystify it a little bit for some of you in the audience, and then hopefully have room for Q&A at the end. So, Chad, Crystal, this first question is for the two of you. Crystal, I'll ask you to let us know first. Let's start with the big picture point of view. How have short-term rentals changed the way travelers experience Alabama's beaches, and what role have they played in shaping your marketing strategies?
Yeah, definitely. We may be different than a lot of the other destination marketing organizations in the room, but we are a 32-mile long island off the coast of Alabama on the Gulf of Mexico, America, whichever way we're calling it these days. But our market is primarily made up of short-term vacation rental management units. We've got about 16,000, and we have 4,000 hotel rooms. Out of those 16,000, it's primarily condos and beach homes, so it could be anywhere from a 2-bedroom, 3 or 4-bedroom condo up to a 20-bedroom beach home. So our destination has been built on tourism and built on short-term vacation rentals, so it's nothing new for us. We're funded by lodging tax dollars, so every bit of our marketing strategy, we're always trying to think about how we can get the visitor to stay in those condos, the beach homes, and even our hotels as well. And one thing that's really important for us when we look and we compare the two, what's really different between somebody who's going to stay in a short-term vacation rental versus a hotel is the length of stay is much longer. We typically, on average, see about a 5.6 night stay at a vacation rental. Most of those, the big beach houses, rent for an entire week. Where a hotel, we see about 2.2 nights. Also, our average daily rate is much higher at a vacation rental. We're about $289 on average a night, where a hotel is much less than that. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, $197 a night. So you see a much bigger, higher ADR. They also book out much further, which is really important for us being a beach destination. So all of that comes into our marketing strategies, our impact, who we're marketing to. We're always looking for families to fill those large condos, the big beach houses, big friend groups. And really, whenever they come and they stay longer and they split those lodging costs, it allows them to get out in the destination a lot more and eat out more, do more, play more, have more fun, and stay longer, which is great for the entire destination.
Fantastic. And Chad, for you, the vacation rental scene in Gatlinburg has evolved, I would say, immensely over the last 10 years. How has it affected your organization?
Yeah, you know, Gatlinburg, we have about 4,000 full-time residents that live in our tiny town, but we receive about 10 million visitors a year next to our sister city, Pigeon Forge. And people, when they come to our town, they really come to the area. And our overnight rentals really start in the dreaming phase of our marketing plan. So when a family's like, are we going to go to the beach or are we going to go to the mountains, you know, they're envisioning their family being in a large cabin overlooking this, you know, wonderful vista, and that's kind of in that dreaming phase. and that's where we try to capture them. Now, they might end up in a motel down on the street, but in their mind, whenever they're thinking about this destination, they think big, as we want them to do, right? But in our market, we have about 9,400 overnight rentals that are in our market. It's grown since 2017. It was around 5,400. So COVID was a huge spike for us, where people were converting a lot of their homes, a lot of generational homes and cabins and whatnot. But it's definitely a key part of our destination, and it's definitely part of the mountain experience when you come to our part of the world.
Have you found that more people come now that those new vacation rentals are available, or are there just some that aren't quite filled up all the time?
Well, I mean, I think at this point where we have so many that, your occupancy, you can never really get it to the highest level that you would like, just because, we have quite a few hotels. We have a sister city that has a lot more hotels than we do. And then, I mean, if you looked at our entire county, which is Sevier County, Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, and Sevierville, we probably have 26,000 overnight rentals. So you definitely have your option. Now, we have some pretty interesting overnight rentals in our market. There's 15 or 20 overnight rentals just in our town that can sleep 200 people. Now, I don't know if you have 200 of your closest friends, but that's a lot of people. It's like a resort, multiple kitchens, indoor swimming pools, and it's crazy. So some of them kind of get over the top, but it's definitely part of that mountain experience.
Yeah, somebody's nice little weekender, I suppose, right? So, David, this is an easy one to start with for you. So some destinations have banned short-term rentals, have been actively trying to suppress them. Has that been effective? There have even been Airbnb bans across the country in different destinations. So has that been successful? Has it just pushed bookings underground? What have you seen from your perspective in that regard?
Great question. I might be the only one on the planet who obsesses over this, because I think it is the most defining issue for all of y'all out in the audiences. Where do vacation rentals really fit into the future of the destination? And that really is oftentimes a regulatory discussion today. It won't always be, I promise and I hope. So the analogy I like to use, because I think it helps people frame this, is in 1908, the Ford Model T rolls off the assembly line onto the road, and then they start realizing, okay, well, now we need rules of the road. The three common complaints about the Ford Model T were they were noisy, they turned into trash when they broke down, and then parking issues. Nobody planned parking before the car came. So in short-term rentals, it's noise, trash, and parking as well. And Airbnb founded 2008, exactly 100 years later. So we're dealing with like the 1920s. We're now in the 2020s. That's when the rules of the road were created. But to answer your question specifically, there is no silver bullet. There is no magic formula. Those experiments are being worked out in real time, in real life, in your destination. When you do have a ban, you're oftentimes ending up with two L's: legal issues and lost opportunity. So I'm a pro short-term rental guy. I'm also kind of an apologist, because I don't think the last 10 years our industry has showed up in the way solving our own challenges, reaching out to your DMO, and that's what I'm really here to do, is try to help bridge the DMO, short-term rental conversations and people, in order to be able to work on solutions together, and that spans the gamut. But the future is very bright, and the people who embrace or allow for short-term rentals to kind of commingle in ways that maybe haven't happened yet, they're going to be the winners.
Yeah, Dave, thank you. It's insightful, and I hope that for the audience, it gives you a lens that not all short-term rental proponents are arrogantly blind to the bad side or the ugly underbelly of the short-term rental industry. One of the things that we're working on at Amplify, as I know you are rent responsibly as well, is actually pushing forward standardization, pushing forward positive regulations so that we can prevent harmful bans that hurt the destination as a whole. But short-term rentals should be held to the same standards as hotels. And we're trying to make sure we foster the next 10 years of vacation rentals in such a way that lifts up destinations as a whole and not vacation rentals over hotels. So many of you in the audience have access to short-term rental data. I wonder if all of you know what to do with it or even use it at all today. I'm sure you do to varying degrees, but I want to ask our panelists, Chad, we'll start with you here. What short-term rental data points have been game changers for you that have allowed you to either drive specific marketing initiatives or something that you have measurable economic impact from launching things based on that data?
You know, that's a great question. One of the things that we use it for is for tracking large events to our area. So, well, like with the STR report and some of the other reports that you can get out there, you can really look at the delta between what's the impact of various things. We have a large music conference called Monsters on the Mountain. It's a old 80s kind of a rock and roll, and when we see that, we'll see a 4 or 5% lift just in occupancy. And so we use those metrics because no one believes any type of economic development strategy that anybody puts out there. Some of the numbers are just bizarre, like why didn't that add up to our tax dollars? So this is a real way to go in and say, hey, you know, you can't argue with the lift in the occupancy over these exact same time frames. So that's one of the ways that we use it.
Excellent. And then Crystal, same question to you.
Yeah, we use key data to look into our data to help figure out who we're going to target, when, and where. About 2 years ago, we really started to dig in deep. We have spring season, summer, fall. Those are our biggest. Winter sort of slow for us. But we really wanted to see who was booking when and where and who's spending the most per average daily rate, who's staying the longest, and who's booking further out. Because typically, if you're going to book further out, you're going to book at a higher nightly rate. So 2 years ago, we really analyzed that data per each season to see who's booking further out, and then we know who to target. So each one of our target markets are based off that key data information. That feeds about 60% of all of our lodging partners into that, plus all of our hotels. So we use that to really drive a lot of our strategy. Gulf Shores and Orange Beach Tourism loves data. We love digging into it and nerding out on it. And since COVID, I mean, it's been crazy. 2019, and we had a record-breaking year, and then 2020, we had COVID hit, our beaches closed, and then we had Hurricane Sally come as well, and we almost broke even with 2019, a record-breaking year. And then 2020, very similar to Gatlinburg, everybody felt safe at the beach, and it rebounded 50% over our record-breaking year. And thankfully, we've been able to hold that this entire time. We say, you know, flat is up for us. Like if we could just stay flat, then that's up. And we've been able to do that. And I think a lot of it is just targeting the right people, using the data that we know is true, and getting the message to the right people at the right time.
Fantastic. And I think I would consider those advanced applications of data, but then there are some very basic KPIs that I would hope all of you would know, which is how many short-term rentals exist and operate in your destination. Do they all pay taxes? Are there some that should be paying taxes that aren't? And there are some different ways to gather that type of information, but it's all super important. Crystal, we'll stick with you. Your board, like many in the room probably, consists of all different kinds of stakeholders, specifically a lot of hoteliers as well. So when it comes to balancing marketing efforts between traditional lodging, meaning hotels, and short-term rentals, how have you and the Alabama Beaches team struck that balance to make sure everybody feels served?
Well, I think a lot of times for us, it's two different visitors, really. Like when we see who's coming to stay in our hotels, it's usually people who are coming for just a short weekend. They may be coming to our destination for the very first time. And they're smaller, either families or couples as well. So it's really a few different groups that we're targeting there. So the first-time visitor who's just going to come for a weekend, who's typically going to book 30 days out at the most. So that's one specific target and person that we'll target with our advertising. And then the vacation rental is completely different than that. They're planning further out, they're staying longer, and they're coming with the bigger groups, with the families, the kids, multi-generational. So, you know, there we're targeting the grandparents, the parents, couple friends who are going to travel with their families as well and all stay together. So it really is a mix, and it opens up our marketing so we can really diversify who we're targeting. And also when we think about, you know, getting people to book longer out, those are going to be the people who are going to stay in the short-term vacation rental companies. But then the people who are going to stay in the hotels, they can really help fill those need periods closer in. So it helps fill us from farther out, but then really come in close with the hotel stays and targeting those groups and visitors.
Excellent. And Chad, you've had to lead your organization through a doubling of short-term rental supply effectively in the past several years. And hotels have always been a mainstay and a staple in Gatlinburg. So how have you managed to continue to promote this growth of an asset class that is obviously desired by travelers while also still maintaining the good relationships you have with your hoteliers?
Yeah, so a couple things. Gatlinburg.com obviously is our workhorse, like most DMO websites. We get roughly 7 million unique visitors a year. Majority of the traffic that comes in organically is someone looking for a cabin or an overnight rental in our destination. Again, whether they're liable to end up in a hotel downtown, but that is actively what they're searching for. We have a marketing committee as well as a board of directors, as most people in the room would, and we actually have an overnight rental seat on our board. So there's representation there from the overnight rental community, which makes up a pretty significant portion of our community, as well as our marketing committee. So there's always representation there to kind of keep that balance. And those tax dollars do generate, and they do come in from the overnight rentals, and we are funded very similar to you on both sides, the hotels as well as a few other taxes. But that's how we do it. We bring them into the fold, and they're part of the solution. So,
thank you, Chad. Dave, did we miss anything on data points that stand out to you as our resident STR expert?
I wouldn't say you missed anything. My angle is more personal. If I may, raise your hand if you've ever stayed in a short-term rental before. Okay, now keep your hand raised if you've intentionally connected with your short-term rental community locally. Okay, for the purposes of drama, everybody's hand went down, and how can we have that happen? So personally, I stay in short-term rentals when it's over 3 nights or over 3 people. It's kind of a rule, it just makes sense. And so when your personal experience, if you tap that, that's probably the best metric, or your friends, for your experience, your perception, but also locally, generally speaking, as you said, book further out, larger groups. But the other key data point is how much money is spent outside of the home. The short-term rental rent is actually one of the lowest numbers in the full stay spectrum of spend. So you'll have almost twice that go into the community, into F&B and other ways to generate economic impact. Short-term rentals have an outsized economic impact in that regard.
Thank you, Dave. If you were in the room yesterday for all of our sessions, there was a very, what I thought, well done session from the team at Orange 142 and the Pigeon Forge Department of Tourism. They talked about their basically reality TV series they did on YouTube, where they had 5 families compete to show off the destination. Had a wonderful response. They renewed it for year 2. I wonder if there are any specific marketing campaigns that stand out for your organization that specifically highlight what short-term rentals add to the experience. Crystal, maybe we'll start with you.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, most of our marketing campaigns will definitely highlight vacation rentals, staying within those, from social media to email to almost everything is showing that lodging stay, the stay on the beach, and also it parlays into hotels as well. So definitely every marketing campaign shows the experiences that you can have along the shores too. So not only coming to stay, but being out in that community and adding one more extra thing to do, or one more restaurant to eat at or dine at.
So this is a staple of your organization. It's something that is the faucet that is always turned on. It's not necessarily a very specific, here's one new thing we're doing this year. This is our bread and butter for you guys.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
Absolutely. Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, it's a small island, like I mentioned earlier. Tourism is our only industry. Everything is supported by that. So it's a $6 billion economic industry for us, and to put that number into perspective, that is 86 Taylor Swift concerts. It's that kind of economic impact for us. So yeah, it's always turned on. We never forget about it whatsoever. I hate to use the term heads and beds, but yeah, we're always looking to get the heads and beds, because if we know if we could get them there, they're actually going to get out and get in the community and spend the money with our industry partners.
Chad, any specific campaigns stick out for you?
Well, I love that. I'm going to start referring to all of my budget meetings in Taylor Swift concerts.
Yes,
We
yeah,
work
gotta-
that whole thing. Yeah, I'm pretty fortunate because you just mentioned Pigeon Forge's amazing campaign. They're our sister city, so when they come to Pigeon Forge, hopefully they'll still come to Gatlinburg as well. So we definitely enjoy that synergy from the marketing between multiple cities. So that's great. You know, they really overnight rentals in the cabins in our community. I mean, it's ingrained in every bit of our marketing. So majority of the stuff that you'll see from Gatlinburg is all about experiential, and it really starts with the park, which is really why people come here. And then they're in one of my original, when I first started talking about this, they were in that dreaming phase of being in the mountains with their family, and they always identify that with some kind of a cabin overlooking a vista or by a river, and we really capitalize on that in just about everything that we do.
Nice. All right, so Dave, you made it your professional life's work to eliminate the bad actors in vacation rentals. Noble and a huge task. So you've done some work with DMOs and with destinations. Are there any particular experiences in this realm that stand out to you for how you've been able to effectively connect the professional short-term rental community not only together with each other, but with their DMOs to collaborate and promote the destination as a whole?
Yeah, I appreciate the question because I think if I'm y'all in the audience, I'm thinking, okay, how do we actually go about executing any sort of campaign to connect this supplier side, right? The owners, hosts, and managers, because they're hard to find. First of all, they rotate in and out. The professional managers, though, to your point, are really, sometimes they have a brick and mortar. You probably know who they are. They're usually well known in town and so forth. But the campaigns we've run that were most effective were digital in nature, because sometimes host owners and managers are wherever they're generally property managers, they're running around, so they want to be able to access asynchronously, so live meetups have limitations. And then it really is about building the email list, so a kind of to use a shore analogy, you need this kind of tide and these waves that just continue to bring people in or closer to your DMO, and that really is building an email list. So if you think of each owner, host, and manager, and even each property as a potential amplifier of your DMO's message or the experience you're trying to give, they are there ready, willing, and able. They're just generally hard to find. But for example, in Palm Springs, we worked with Visit Greater Palm Springs, and they had about 50 rentals listed on their website under places to stay. They now have over 500, just because we've done a couple years of this, educational forums, seminars, and things for different reasons. A lot of times filling shoulder seasons. That's a great opportunity when things are a little slower. But yeah, there's just a variety of ways to do it. I think it's more programmatic than episodic.
I see this a lot from my perspective as well. I look at DMO websites all day, every day as the Amplify business leader. What really gets under my skin from time to time is when I go to a places to stay tab and I click vacation rentals and I have mostly hotel results. I think that is something that we can do better on as a DMO industry, and it leads well into my next question. So, Crystal, when we started working together a couple of years ago now, I sat in your boardroom with 25, how many ever board members sitting around me, some from Hilton, some from the Lodge, some from Brett Robinson Vacation Rentals, which has over 1,500 condos. We talked a little bit about some of the tension that might exist between destinations and short-term rentals. What have you experienced in terms of tension between hotels and vacation rentals in your market?
Yeah, we really don't have much tension. I think we all work together really well. What is it? Rising tides raises all boats. Is that it? So yeah. So I think our board works together really well. Some of them have sat on our board for 30 years. They all know each other very well, and they know that we're always trying to work to do what's best for the destination. And if we do what's best for the destination, then everybody's going to eat and be happy. And so for us, we try to hold industry partner events. We try to make sure we're making those connections and those relationships with the large vacation rental companies like a Brett Robinson or a Kaiser. And then also with Hilton and the Lodge, the general managers there. Like, we are making sure that at least once a month, we're in front of them in some kind of way, whether it's a phone call or email, or if we're holding an industry partner event. So I think it's just important to keep building those relationships and making sure that they know you're there to support them in every capacity.
Excellent. Chad, any experiences in your destination for animosity or conflict between hotels and short-term rentals?
You know, for us, we're limited by growth in our market because we're surrounded by Great Smoky Mountains National Park on 3 sides. So it's a very limited area if you wanted to build more hotels or bring in additional room nights. So to do that, you have to have those overnight rentals, and you have to have those cabin companies to be able to fill that, to be able to grow. So it's definitely in our DNA to support that and do it, you know, correctly, so that we get the proper funding sources that we can then market it properly. But we don't have a lot of problem with it. It's definitely part of our growth, and it's part of our solution for the future.
Dave, how does the short-term rental industry work? There are professionals, there are amateurs. There are the stories you see on the news that make everybody think that this is the worst thing to happen in travel since forever, and hotels are the only way forward. What are these silly fees that I keep getting on Airbnb? How does it all work? Are there professionals? Is there 2 schools of thoughts on how it all works? Can you give us a breakdown?
I hate those fees too, just for the record. So annoying. I think they're getting dealt with. But I think the easiest way to think about the people, the owners, hosts, and managers, is that there are 1 million people in this country that are operating short-term rentals or work for a management company. There's 800,000 individual hosts, and the other 200,000 work in professional management companies. That's a lot of people, and if you add in the ancillary service providers, you're talking about 1% of the nation are actually involved in some way in short-term rental. So it is by no means a small group of people, and it's also very hard to draw a box around all of them simply. But when you talk about professional managers, these are folks who have gotten it right and grown a portfolio and built some standards in along the way. Airbnb and Vrbo, they are not management standards companies. They are go find guest companies. So one of the things our industry is working on with professional managers is building defined standards. And with that, over, like I said, the next 10 years are going to be a lot better than the previous 10 years. And again, apologist, we do have to clean up some of the scar tissue that people have of the bad actors and otherwise. But your professional managers are, the head pin. If you haven't really connected with your short-term rental community on the supply side, definitely go talk to them. They have their own data sets. They have their own marketing strategies. You guys would find a lot of synergy there, but they're also leading this march towards standardization because we have to meet guest expectations, and that's never really been defined about where is the bar to stay above. And as we've worked with Amplify and other DMOs, we are working to roll that out and make that more widely available. In fact, that's something I think DMOs would glom onto and say, hey, to all my owners and managers in my town, meet these standards, one of which is be compliant and legal and pay your taxes. And then maybe you can get on the website or have some of these benefits that you guys offer.
Yeah, it's an idea that's gaining traction, right? It's a question that there are varying opinions on. Is it a DMO's place within the booking and the travel experience to be a place to book lodging? Now, naturally, I think the answer is yes. But, Crystal, we've worked together on this. I would say that it has not been easy at all times. There have been lessons, good and bad, throughout. What has your experience been as a miniature OTA for your destination only? How has it affected your operators? How has it affected your organization? Give us a transparent and not overly fluffed recollection of your experience.
Okay, transparent.
That's right.
Initially when I met John and Stacy's by Amplify and he wanted to make our website transactional, I was against it. I wasn't a fan. I thought that went against everything we stood for as a destination and our mission. But the more I thought about it, the more I actually really liked the idea, and I'm so glad we ended up moving to a transactional site. I think sometimes destination marketing organizations really have a difficult time proving their worth and their value to their destination.
Yeah.
Proving that the marketing is actually working, because we're not really selling anything, so it's hard to show like, hey, all this work we did, it paid off, we've got these people here. So by moving to a transactional site, not only were we able to show our value through bookings, but we also made it much easier for the visitor, because it's a one-stop shop. They're able to come to our website, alabamaspeeches.com, and learn everything there is about our destination, where to eat, where to go, what to do, and then they can search and figure out where they want to stay, which makes it so much easier. And I think all of us as marketers, we know the more clicks somebody has to do, the less likely they're going to jump and not book and get busy and move off to something else. So having that ease and that functionality on our site makes it easier for our visitors to come actually into the destination and have a great beach vacation.
What's been the hardest part?
The hardest part? You know, initially, I think we see a large amount of website visitation, about 600,000 sessions a month, sometimes more. And so I think initially we thought, oh my gosh, we're going to put this booking widget on our site, and we're going to have all these listings populate, and we're going to start just seeing immediate bookings, which we did, but it just did not ramp up as quick as we thought it would. And our board is very demanding. And so, you know, they wanted it to ramp up as well very quickly. So, I mean, the pressure was on. I think the biggest thing for us was really having to re-educate the users that come to our site, new users. They're not used to coming to a destination marketing's website to book their vacation. So really we had to pivot with all of our advertising to make sure it was clear to everybody that, hey, not only can you plan your vacation, but you can book your vacation here too. And just let them know that you're booking with trusted vacation rental companies, everybody we do business with and who's on our site have business licenses, they pay taxes, all of that is owned data, first-party data for us, first-party data for our vacation rental companies and those owners. So I think that was the biggest challenge, because I really do think we all just sort of thought it was going to be easy. Like, oh my gosh, we have so much website traffic, and good website traffic, like highly engaged users on the site. And we just thought it would be easy. But no, we really had to pivot and really rethink how we got that messaging and inform that user out there. And then I think too, like signing up our lodging partners to get on the program. That probably didn't go as quick as we would have wanted it to. We're still adding lodging partners every day and still growing that. Out of our 16,000 vacation rentals, John, what are we up to now?
Almost 8,000.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. So we're a little over a year in, and that's where we're at with it. Some of the smaller guys who just own 1 or 2 units, unfortunately, there's no connection for them right now. So really we're looking at people or companies who have 10 or more vacation rental units on their program to connect to Stay Sense by Amplify. So that's been a little discouraging for the smaller guys, because of course we want to help out everybody. But yeah, I would say that's been a couple of the challenges, but overall it's been really successful.
I think we've learned a lot as well. We've learned that putting a booking widget on a homepage, that's not enough by itself. That's going to perform a little bit. And if your goal is to prove, here's how much value we're adding, whether it be economic impact or simply to, if you're member-based or just the lodging community, you need to have volume. And to do that, you have to create content that educates the traveler that this is a service we're providing to you as well, Mr. Traveler. Now, are you monetizing this? Are you charging anything to your local properties?
No, it's completely free to our industry partners, so they're welcome to join. And again, like I said, they love it because they get that first-party data. Like if they get a booking through Vrbo or Airbnb, they do not get that first-party data. So they own that guest reservation information, which we do as well, which is huge for us, because then we can remarket directly to them and then build lookalike audiences as well. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Very good. Chad, you've used a booking engine or different booking engine platforms in the past. You have since removed that functionality. from your site. What challenges did you face? Where did it fall short? What opportunities do you see for our company and those like it in this space to better serve you as a DMO?
Yeah, so we, a couple of years ago, there was a company called Jackrabbit. I think they got bought by Blue Bridge, and then I think now it's a Simple View product. But a few years back, we installed a booking widget, which it really isn't a booking widget. It's an outbound referral system where it pulls it in. And we're structured a little different because we're also the CVB, but we're also a chamber of commerce, so we're member driven. And so what we were finding is that as people were going into the booking widget, and then the outbound referral would bring them to whatever the customer would like to land the traffic, which would be on their website. We were just basically dividing the traffic from their listing in our lodging properties and or to the widget. So when we started looking at launching a new site, we're really just splitting hairs here as to what traffic we're going to bring out. And so we decided consciously just to remove that and then use one of the KPIs as just outbound referral traffic to our partners, which basically what that was doing anyway. So.
I think one thing I would want to communicate as well to all of you here is that in the eyes of the professional short-term rental management community, Airbnb and Vrbo are the enemy. They're a necessary evil. They don't like them, and if they had an alternative, they would embrace it with open arms. It's something that there's only one way to take down the big shark in any industry, and it's if you have a lot of little sharks around it that make up enough space to take up more than the big sharks. So if this whole vision that our company and the other booking engines in the space are trying to work towards plays out, it means that travelers know at scale that you can book whatever you want to with the destination directly. And I think that's something that could be a really cool future for all involved. We've got running low on time, so we're going to skip a few questions. I want to get to some wrap-up questions, and this is for all three of you. For DMOs in the audience who might be hesitant to purposefully collaborate with short-term rentals in their market, might be worried about pushback, data overload, it's something new, they don't understand it well enough, what would you tell them as they start down that journey of new partnerships, Chad?
Yeah, I would say be open to anything because they probably have a lot of data that you're not have readily available to yourself. So there's some data sharing opportunities. They will find inquiries and people that ask them questions that might shed some light into a different market segment that you might not have thought about targeting. So there's a lot of shared information and a lot of earned knowledge that you might be able to get just from having those conversations. Whether they go anywhere is another story, but at least having those open communication, especially if they're part of your community.
Crystal, last night as we were all sitting at dinner together, you shared with us that you're born and raised in the Gulf Shores Orange Beach market, multi-generation actually. You are the persona that by the numbers might be upset with the idea of vacation rentals taking over or coming into our neighborhoods. It's something that's very personal to you. You're not just the vice president of marketing for your destination. It's your home, and it's your job to promote it. So what would you say to any destination who maybe is not as vacation rental friendly by the book as your destination is? What is their opportunity to start these new relationships?
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to building those relationships, getting to know them, their community members, their leaders in your community. So building those relationships, getting to know them, figuring out how you can work together and really get the right visitors in your destination that everybody's going to be happy with, locals included. That's really important to me. I live where we invite over 6 million people to come each year. So, it's so important to us that we keep our community safe and opening. And, I think just, again, building those relationships, talking with them, getting to know them, making sure we're all working towards the same goals is crucial.
Dave, how can your company help DMOs collaborate more effectively with short-term rental operators?
Yeah, first of all, I just want to thank you guys for having me here. This is my first DMO conference, and I think that's also a signal that, hey, short-term rental people are starting to show up, in hallways and in rooms that we typically weren't before. But what Rent Responsibly is a community building and education platform. So we want to be an extension, not just for DMOs, but a lot of different organizations to actually have those, elusive hosts, owners and managers come meet y'all at your front door. So I don't know if you can see here, you might want to get a tight shot on that. That's a chair pin, and I've been carrying my own chair around for a couple of years now because I feel like we as an industry need to pull up a chair. So what I would recommend, folks, if you're interested in connecting with your short-term rental community, we'll bring our own chair, you just need a table. And we could also probably bring a table. We can arrange for that if that's what's missing. But point being is we want to connect with you guys. I was a host for 7 years, and it wasn't until after I was done hosting and started Rent Responsibly that I met my DMO. So we're effectively building what we wished was there when we got started. And that's real connectivity. So we have a bridge program that makes that connection.
Dave, thank you. Guys, we are at time. I did want to, if it's okay, Ashley and Maddie, if there are any questions in the audience that we know we want to try to get answered, we give it up, give you the opportunity to ask now. I will tell you in the meantime, if anyone raises their hand, you guys can take a microphone. But in the meantime, if you're interested in learning more about Amplify, if you want to connect with our panelists, just go fill out a registration form at staysense.com/eTourism. We'll get you connected and also send you a gift box with real Yetis if you're into that. Any questions in the audience for our panelists? I see one back here in the middle. Yell it.
So you're featuring your vacation rentals through a booking widget. How do your hoteliers feel about it since they don't have a booking widget? I'm in the opposite. I'm in Daytona Beach, so it's the opposite. So just curious how you address that.
Yes, well, good question. Thank you. Actually, hotels are going live on our site in May, so that is coming very, very soon. So, but they've been good with it and open with it, knowing that there was going to be a solution. But the focus was with the vacation rentals, and then that was coming. So we're a year into it, and that was about what we expected. So again, they've been supportive, just knowing that a solution was coming. John, I think there was a question over here.
Over here as well. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Top of your lungs.
David, when it comes to guidelines, do you think DMOs should be involved in coming up with those guidelines, or should we leave that to city council as an ordinance? Houston just passed some rules for them, so it's to keep it consistency, right?
Snap poll. Raise your hand if you think that DMOs should be involved in the I assume you're talking about regulations in general or standards? Standards and regulations. Do we think that that's a role for DMOs? I'm seriously interested. To city council. So the one thing I've learned is that generally speaking, the short-term rental industry has the answers. What we don't do a great job is show up and share like, hey, this works, that doesn't. Ford Model T, the first speed limit was 5 miles an hour. Came from somebody who never drove a Ford Model T because they stall out at 5 miles an hour. So rules that don't actually work under any circumstances, bad. But good if people are sitting around talking about what will work, how can we meet in the middle. So I'm not sure that DMOs need to or should never feel obligated to. I don't think that's the mission. But I do think that the short-term rentals place in tourism and travel, DMOs are going to be the expert, especially with all the data you guys have at your fingertips. So kind of a wishy-washy answer, but I do think that the rule sets need to have everybody at the table, if possible.
Guys, thank you. We are at time. Thank you so much for your attention and for having us at eTourism. We hope to be back next year. Have a great rest of the show.